Okay, all right. Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, would you mind taking a picture of the QR code? Well, it has my credit card numbers, has my savings account number and checking account number. Is that enough incentive? Well, it contains the presentation notes so that you don't have to write it down. Okay, when you go back home, you just press that image on your cell phone, and it will give you instructions to get access to the presentation notes. That's what I encourage my students in classes. Look up, not look down. So the notes will be available for you. Okay. All right. I'll be presenting some tables and so on. So you might not be able to see at the end. If you can move forward a little bit, that would be very, very helpful. Okay, if possible. Okay, I'll try to be as non-technical as possible. All right, and as basic as possible here. How many of you are retired over here? Okay. Oh, no, Joe, you're not retired. All right, I retired 4 years ago, and I'm really enjoying it. And I found my true talent in retirement. I'm very good at doing nothing, I found out. And I don't have to worry about being caught either. And my wife will be joining me shortly, so I'm going to share this story before she comes up. She doesn't share my sentiment. She thinks that when I retire, she got twice the husband for half the income. Well, I'm going to share with you how to develop this talent of doing nothing. But it does require some knowledge, some planning to be able to retire well and do nothing. I mean, if that's your choice. Okay. Of course, we do a lot of traveling, and we are really enjoying it. And hopefully, I can share what we have gone through with you. Okay. Some people say, can I have the clicker over here? Let me see. That why should I get informed? Why can't I just learn by experience? You know what the problem is with trying to plan for retirement? Some of the mistakes you make can set you back that it's very hard to catch up. And about half of the states in the US are beginning to realize that, and they're beginning to require high school students to take personal finance. Okay? And well, you don't have to do that. This is free for you this evening. Okay. When I started teaching finance in my early years, I taught personal finance. One of the finance subjects I taught, and in personal finance, a number of areas. The main areas: credit management, debt management, budgeting, investing, insurance planning, estate planning. You know what that is, right? Estate planning. Making the plan before you make the grand exit so that your assets pass on as whole as possible to your beneficiaries, and then retirement planning, and that will be our focus. That will be a focus in this seminar. Okay. All right. When did organized retirement as a system come about? Any ideas? last couple of 100 years, further back than that. Okay, Moses' time. Okay, you don't believe me? Okay, read Numbers chapter 8, verses 23 to 25. The Lord, it came from God Himself. The Lord told Moses. This applies to the Levites. Levites at that time were what? The church what? The church workers. Okay. Uh, Men 25 years old and more shall come to take part in the work at the tent of meeting. Before they had the what called the temple and so on. And but at the age of 50, they must from their regular service and work no longer. So they work for 25 years. And I believe at that time they might even live longer than we do nowadays. What a luxury, isn't it? Work 25 years and retired. I worked for 34 years. Okay. And I did not investigate the source of their retirement income, but I'm sure they set up a system for them to retire. Okay, so retirement as an organized retirement system, it went all the way back. It's not something new. Okay, all right. It used to be when you retire, you could depend on three sources of income. We call that the three-legged stool of retirement income. Okay. However, it used to be that you got Social Security, you got pensions. You know what pensions are? Well, if you do not know pension, I do not blame you because it's becoming very rare. You got pension? Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's becoming a rare animal. Okay. All right. And and private savings were not very important then, because that would be enough. But what has happened? Companies are what? Cutting off that source of income. We call it defined benefit. Now they call it defined contribution. Defined contribution is another word for private what? Private savings. So now you really have to save, okay, to be able to retire well here. Okay. Right, here's the outline, what we're going to discuss this evening. Yeah. Hello, come on in, come on in. Welcome. So this is so we're going to focus on private savings. But you cannot do anything with Social Security, right? You do what you can control. Okay? So this is what we're going to discuss in this seminar. How much do we need to save or invest for retirement? Do you have any idea, or you just throwing numbers around? Hopefully it will stick. Okay? All right. What are some of the accounts we can invest in different groups of investment assets? So we're talking about two different things here: accounts and what? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's something that shines. Yeah. It's part of investment assets. Part of investment assets. Yeah. Okay. All right. But you have to create an account first and invest through that account. Okay. Right. And then we're going to talk about Social Security and Medicare. What is Medicare? It's a government health care for what? People who what? Who retire. Okay? Who retire. Okay. Right. And then lastly, we're going to discuss how much should we withdraw so that you don't withdraw too much, and what's going to happen when you withdraw too much. No, you have nothing. You may have to look for a homeless shelter somewhere. I don't know. Okay. All right. And so on, so that you can last through retirement. Okay. So that's the outline. Okay, we're going to discuss on. We're going to focus on private savings. Okay, all right. And how much do we save for retirement? How much money? You know, money talks. Mine talks back to me, keeps on saying goodbye, and keeps on saying that even when I retire. Okay, so we really need to save. That's right. Absolutely. That too. We have to work. That's right. That too. Mm-hmm. Uh huh. Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. That. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So maybe, hopefully, the seminar will give you some ideas. I mean, each of you has a particular situation. I cannot give you a blanket approach, but you can get some ideas, and then you kind of adjust accordingly. Okay. All right. How much you save depends on a number of factors, and one of them is what standard of living do you want when you retire? Let me rephrase my question. What standard of living, or SOL, do you desire if you were to retire what? Today. Okay? What percentage of your current annual income, gross income, is needed to support or to maintain that desired SOL? If you think that your standard of living today is not what you want it to be, maybe you may need what, 110% or 120% of your current what, income. If you think it's enough, maybe you need less than what, 90% of your current uh, salary or income, or 70%. And here's my proposal. Here's my proposal to you. Okay, if you're okay with your current standard of living, you're okay with it, you're satisfied with it, all right, then I would suggest that 80% of your what, your annual salary or your annual gross income will be sufficient. And why would I say that? You will not know. Okay, that's true. That's true. Why not 100% of your current annual salary? Why would I suggest 80%? Not only me, but a lot of. Okay, what expenses do you not expect to have when you retire? Oh, absolutely, that is a big one. Oh no, no, you're going to live for 20, 30 years. You need a vehicle. You still need it. Okay, but hey, you got something there. This is my suggestion to you before you retire. Pay off your what? Pay off your mortgage, because that occupies a big percent of your current what, income. That will be a big load off your shoulder, if possible. Okay, pay off your what, mortgage. And I would say, let's say that's 15%, or in many cases, much more than that of your current income goes to pay what, mortgage. So that's 15% off. Okay, and then when you retire, you should be enjoying your retirement. You would not be saving for retirement anymore, right? And let's say that's another 8. A lot of people will suggest that you need to save up to 15% of your annual income to retirement, but I'm just putting a low number up there, 8%. So add up the percentages associated with the two expenses that you will not be bothered with when you retire. How much is that? 15 plus 8, what do we have? Oh, sorry, 23%. But I was suggesting what percent there? 18%. And then when you retire, you will not be working anymore, hopefully, and you will not be paying what? FICA tax. What's FICA tax? Social Security tax plus your what? Medicare what? Tax. And that's 6%. And you add that up, what? Somebody good in math, how much would that be? 20, it's about 30%. But I'm just saying, if you're satisfied with your current standard of living, maybe 80% of your current income is what? Sufficient, because usually you will not be bothered with those expenses when you retire. I shouldn't say bothered, I mean, you will not have to what? Take care of them. Okay? All right. So we're just going to look at two models of finding out what retirement savings you actually need. There are very many models out there, but we're just going to look at two of them just to give you a ballpark idea of how much you need what to save. I'm not saying that this models will help you to find out the precise what retirement needs. Just a ballpark idea. It is better than having no idea how much to save. Right? A ballpark idea is much, much better. Okay? All right. So when you look at the one by Fidelity, a big mutual fund company, and another one by Financial Mentor. Okay? All right. So let's first of all look at the age-based model. The good thing about this model, it is simple, and it helps you to check whether your savings are on track at each what? Major point of your life as you go along. Okay? For example, at age 30, if you are, let's say, your annual gross income is $30,000. So how much should you have saved by then? 1x. What is 1x? 1 times your what? $30,000. And let's say age 35, you are earning, let's say, $33,000. How much would you have saved by then? $66,000. Age 67, let's say you have income of $52,000. You should have saved by then what? Just before you retire, 500 and what? $20,000. It gives you a ballpark idea. I mean, this is not a precise science. It gives you an idea how much you need what to save, rather than completely no idea what you're doing. Okay? All right. Now, this model is based on a number of assumptions, so you should be aware of that. First of all, it excludes what? Social Security benefits. We're only talking about the what? Private savings part of it. Okay? And assumes that your boss is going to be nice to you and going to increase your salary. How much a year? 1.5. Yes, Angela, go ahead. Per person. Per person. Okay. All right. And that your, what is SOL, your standard of living, can be funded by what? On 80% of your what? Annual salary. So if you are hoping for average retirement lifestyle, maybe your savings can fund 45%, and the balance 35% funded by Social Security. So if you add them up, what would that make? 45 plus 35? 80. And at age 67, you probably should have what, 10 times what your income is at age 67. Okay? And if you're looking for below average lifestyle, maybe 8 times is sufficient at age 67. Or you're looking for above average, you really want to enjoy life, okay, when you retire, maybe you should have a little bit more saved by then. Maybe what, 12 times, just to give you an idea. Okay, just to give you an idea. Right. And you can play these numbers by yourself. Go to this link. By the way, those who came in later on, I showed a QR code earlier. I'll show it again, and you can take a picture of it, and then you have access to these presentation materials. Okay. All right. All right. Here's the projected cash flow model, a little bit more detailed. Okay. And there's a link over there. Okay. Let's assume that you are now 45 years, plan to retire at 67, and you expect to live until 90 years, okay? Right now, you have $200,000 saved already, and you're living on 80% of your annual income. Your annual income, $50,000. So what is 80% of that? $40,000, okay? That will be sufficient to take care of your what? Your standard of living that you desire, okay? And your kids can take care of themselves. You're not going to leave 1 cent to them, okay? Let's assume that's the case. James, hopefully that's not the case for you. Okay? All right. And you're going to contribute, you're going to save $350 a month, which gives you what? 4,000 what? $200 a year. And you're going to start saving right now, continue saving right now until age 67 when you retire. And from now until 67, you can earn 5.5%, assuming on your what? On your savings and on your contributions. Okay, and from 67 to 90, whatever is still left is you still can earn what? Maybe a lower rate of return, because by then you want to make sure that your assets are what? A little bit more what? Safer. So you earn a lower rate of return. Okay, let's assume that's the case. Okay, all right, and I would suggest if you use this model, put a zero tax rate during retirement. This is to circumvent a particular after-tax requirement that's unique to this model. Okay, so just put a 0% there. Okay, and annual inflation rate is 3%, and your this one includes Social Security also. And let's say in today's value, you will be getting $18,000 from Social Security. And how do you find that out? We'll look at another slide later on how to estimate what your Social Security based on your current earnings. They'll give you an estimate, okay, in today's value, okay? And right, and COL, you know what COL is? Cost of living what? Adjustment in terms of your Social Security benefits. Is it this year? There was a jump of 8.7%. Oh, I was glad to hear that. A big jump because of the high inflation rate. Okay, so every year, based on your what? Inflation rate, they'll increase your Social Security benefits here, okay? And let's say the COL adjustment starts right now, okay? All right, here's the, so here's the input page and here's the output page. There you are, okay? I want to go straight to column D first, column D. All right, how much do you need today to sustain your desired standard of living when you retire? How much do you need in today's value? $40,000, right? Okay, and inflation is 3%. So at age 67, when you retire, how much would that amount be? 76 what? 644. You understand that? Okay, let's look at the next column, column E. All right, according to Social Security estimate, how much would you be receiving Social Security benefits in today's value? $18,000. And let's say COLA adjustment rate each year is what? 2%. So when you retire, how much Social Security would you be receiving in that year's value? 28 what? 384. Okay, so you require 76 to live on, and part of that is funded by Social Security. So what will happen to the balance? Where are you going to get it from? You're going to withdraw from your what? Okay? All right. I'm going to start with row 2024 when you're 46 years old. Okay, let's say at the beginning of the year, here's your balance. You have 211, 400, and you're going to earn 5.5% on that 211, 400. So that gives you, for that year, earnings of how much? 11 what? 6 to 7. And then you also want to what? Contribute what? $4,200. So how much would the ending balance be at the end of 2024? You add those up, gives you what? 227. Can you see? Can you see from far? 227. All right. So you're going to retire. Can you see the green line across the page? That means what? You're crossing the line toward the next phase of your life, which is what? Your retirement. Okay. All right. Age 67. That's your balance you're going to have. 809,440, and you will not be contributing anymore, but you still be earning something on your savings balance. That will be what I believe we assume what 3%. So that will give you what 24283. So your beginning balance plus your investment return for that year plus what you minus what you need to withdraw. How much is that? Column F. How much do you need to withdraw? 48 what? 260. So that gives you a balance of 7854 what? 63. So lo and behold, unfortunately, it will not be sufficient for you until you reach what age? What? 90. Okay? All right. So at age 67, you have a balance of $18,000. And how much do you need to withdraw, by the way? How much do you need to withdraw? I mean, what is your retirement income need for that year? 77,866. And part of that is funded by Social Security, $42,000. So how much do you need to withdraw? Do you have enough? Well, maybe it's time that you have Social Security benefits to take care of your food, but you need to find a shelter somewhere. Okay? All right. Okay. All right. So you don't have enough. What do you do? What do you do? Okay. 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 One of the suggestions I have listed. Okay. All right. You can increase what? Your contributions a little bit. Okay. Spend a little bit less now and what? Increase your savings. Okay. All right. Or you can what? Take a little bit more risk on your investments. With higher risk comes what? Higher return. Okay. All right. We're going to talk about investment risk later on. Okay. All right. And hey, be realistic. Lower your what? Standard of living. Okay. You're planning to travel around the world on a cruise ship? Maybe forget about that. How about having a stay? What is that? Your vacation at your own staycation or whatever. Okay, all right. Or delay your retirement age. Don't retire at 67. Maybe one more year. See what happens. Play with those numbers on this model. See what happens. Okay, all right. Joe and Paula, be very nice to James. Okay, all right. He has something to do with your retirement. All right. Work part time. Walmart. You know, when we were in Singapore a few weeks ago, we saw so many older people working, driving taxis, doing manual work. We were wondering why aren't they retired? They have health, they have retirement income from the government, but it is not enough. Got to work part time. Okay, all right. Don't try to live too long, or don't retire too long. And that would be hard for Seventh-day Adventists. Oh, I forgot. That's one thing I forgot. The National Geographic article. It says that Seventh-day Adventists live 1 decade longer than what the average what uh, 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 life expectancy of Americans. Okay, all right, because of their lifestyle. Okay, all right. So for 70 Adventists, it's an issue. I mean, how are you going to fund your long life? Okay, all right, okay. In the US, the average life expectancy is 77 for males, current, this is current estimate, okay? 81 for females, and there's a 25% for males to reach 93, and females 25% to reach 96, according to the Society of Actuaries. Actuaries, okay? So my suggestion for you is when you plan for how much you need to save for retirement, plan as if you are going to live what a little bit longer than you expect to live. Yeah, yeah. It is complicated. Hmm. 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 Mm. Hmm. 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 Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Well, different generations have different expectations. Yeah. It's different. Okay. All right. So suggest that you plan as if you're going to live 95. Hey, if you don't live that long, well, that's fine. It's good for you. I mean, and pass it on. Okay. If you live that long, well, then you have the resources. Okay, at least. All right. So play with one of these models just to give you an idea, ballpark figure. What do you have to save for? Okay. It's nothing precise about that. I want to say to you, but it gives you what something to work on, to work with. Okay? All right. Okay. And next, we're going to look at what kind of accounts can you set up through which you can invest in. Oh, sorry. Oh, is that the way around? Right? How do you do that? No. Oh, okay. There you are. There you are. Okay. All right. So we're going to look at the different types of investment accounts. Uh, they say that there are two things in life that are inevitable, that you cannot avoid. What are they? Debt and taxes. I'm going to add a third one. It's called gratuity tipping. Tipping has become so pervasive nowadays. A legacy of what? The pandemic. I mean, I'm just wondering, why do I have to tip? I would tip if food is delivered to me, but why do I have to tip if I have to drive all the way there to pick it up? Okay, everything is tipping. Pretty soon you got to tip your dentist. You got to tip your your doctor, and where's the pastor? Pastor is up there. Maybe we're going to tip the pastor after each sermon. Okay. As far as tipping is concerned, I have come to a tipping point myself. I'll tip for services that I usually tip before the pandemic, but the rest I said, no. Just smile at them, thank you, and then turn the machine around. All right, so tax is inevitable, but if we can what? Minimize it, we should. Okay, so there are two types of accounts you can set up. One is what? Taxable. The other one is tax advantage. You can save what? On tax. There are tax benefits. So which one should we set up then? Yes. tax advantage accounts. We're going to look at a few of them. What are the advantages and so on and so on. Okay, because if we have tax advantage account, if we invest through a tax advantage account, it will greatly increase your returns versus that you get on a taxable accounts. Okay. All right. So here is a illustration here. Okay. Suppose you're going to invest $3,600 a year. Okay, toward an account to invest for your retirement, and you're going to invest every year for 30 years, and the rate of return you get each year is 7%, and there's a 24% tax rate on your yearly earnings. All right, look what happens at the end of 30 years. If it is a tax-free account where there's no tax on your earnings, on your yearly earnings, okay? The balance will be $340,000, which is 35% higher than if you were to what? If your earnings were to be what? Taxed every year. The fully taxable account. That is a huge what? That is a huge difference. Well, we're not talking about the different accounts. I'm just showing the difference between what you get on your taxable account versus what. Well, yeah, there's an account. You'll be surprised. There's an account that's purely tax free, and not very many people are aware of that. Okay, all right. Versus the other account, which is tax deferred. You know what tax deferred is? It means what? Your earnings will not be taxed every year. However, at the end of 30 years, your cumulative earnings will be what? Taxed. So if your earnings are not taxed every year, the part of the earnings that goes to pay tax will what? Continue to what? Earn. Okay, for a tax deferred account. And even that, your balance is 13% higher than if what? A fully what? Taxable account. So it shows you you need to take advantage of what the government allows you what, to do in terms of saving tax. It makes a whole lot of difference toward the end. Okay, all right. All right, we're going to talk about tax advantage accounts. Okay, and these are the popular ones. Okay, the first two are individual accounts. We call the Roth account. And the other one is the traditional IRA account, the long name. The technical name is what? Traditional IRA, but in short, we just call it what? IRA. Okay, all right? And then sponsored by your employer, it's called what? 401k. We're going to talk about those first. And we're going to compare the differences between the three of them. Okay, all right. So we have traditional, Roth, and 401k. All right. What is traditional IRA? It is an individual account. It has nothing to do with your employer. It is an account that you yourself what? Set up. Okay. So what's the purpose of setting up this account? Well, your employer may not have what? A retirement plan for you. You save on your own. Yeah. And also, your employer may have an account for you, but you can even save more. What we would say is setting up your own traditional IRA. Okay. How about a Roth account? Same thing. It's an individual account. Same purpose. 401k, employer sponsored. Okay. All right. How about your contributions to each of these accounts? Is it going to be taxed or not? Okay, I'm talking about what? Your contributions first. Okay, all right. For traditional IRA, your contributions are not taxed. We call that what? Pre-tax contributions. You use pre-tax dollars to contribute. Another name for that is what? your contribution is tax deductible. In other words, you have a tax break there. You have a tax what? Benefit. No tax on your contributions. Okay? How about your Roth IRA? Yes, your contributions are after tax. You use after tax dollars to contribute. There's no tax break for you as far as your contributions are concerned. If you contribute to what? Roth IRA. Okay? And for your 401k, there's a tax break for you. It has the same benefit as what? The traditional IRA in terms of tax on your contribution. Okay? All right, when you retire, when you begin to withdraw from these accounts, okay, for traditional IRA, yes, when you withdraw the earnings and the principal, what is the principal? The whatever amount you have contributed in the past. When you start withdrawing that, they'll tax you. Why? Because they did not tax you when you what? Contributed. So the tax saving was upfront. Now we are withdrawing, yeah, they'll tax you. Okay? All right. How about withdrawal on your Roth IRA? No tax. No tax on your earnings withdrawal. No tax on your principal withdrawal. Why? You pay tax what? Upfront. Okay? All right? And 401k is the same. It's the same as what your traditional IRA. Your withdrawals will be taxed. Okay. Now the traditional and 401k are very similar in many features. Okay, except that one is individual and the other one is what employer. Okay. All right. Your annual contribution limit, is there a limit to how much you can contribute each year? Annual. Okay. For traditional, 6,000 what? $500. If you're 50 or older, they allow you to catch up by contributing $1,000 additional. So altogether is what? $7.5 thousand dollars. And your contribution towards traditional will not count towards what? Your contribution towards your RRA in terms of what? The limit. Okay? And you can only contribute if you have earned income. What is earned income? Income from a job, income from a business, income that comes from your sweat and blood versus passive income. What is passive income? Interest income from your what? From your savings. That's passive. You don't have to really sweat for it. Maybe even you have extra house that you rent. That rental income is also considered what? Passive, not earned, unless you have a what? You have an actual business of what? Renting houses. Okay, so it has to be earned income. You don't have earned income, you cannot contribute. And the most you can contribute is based on what? Your earned income. Okay, all right. How about the Roth IRA? $6.5 thousand. Same thing too. Okay, as traditional IRA in terms of contribution limit. For your Roth, no, for your 401k, very generous. Instead of $6,500, what is it? The limit is what? $22,500. And if you are 50 or above, they'll allow you to contribute an additional catch-up amount of what? $7,500. So altogether, how much? $30,000. And most employers would match your contributions to 401k. And the total, your employer's match and your own contribution, the total, there's a limit to how much you can contribute for the year. How much is it? $36,000. But it all has to come from what? Earned what? Income. Okay? Yeah. The most, they can match another 36,000 if your employee is generous. Okay. Yes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. The limit is higher than what most employers are willing to. Uh, yeah, it doesn't matter. Mhm. Yeah, it depends on what you invest in. We're talking about contributing here, your contribution. Okay, your asset performance depends on your market performance, whatever you invest in. Okay. Yeah, Joe. That's right. That's right. It depends on what you choose to invest in. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Yeah. Uh, I personally would prefer Roth because when I retire, I don't have to bother about paying what? Taxes. And hopefully at that time, my tax rate will be what? Lower. Yeah. So go ahead. That's true. If that's the case, that then you probably prefer the other one. Yeah. 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 Mhm. Yeah. That's right. That's a big factor. But if their tax rates are the same, I prefer Roth. There are some advantages. We're going to talk about that later on with Ralph. Okay. Okay. All right. So what happens if you if you're covered by your employer plan and you have a high income? Would it affect the limit of your contribution? What is the limit, by the way? We said limit is what? 6,000 what? $500. Let's say for your traditional RA, if you have a high income, there's no there's no restriction on your what contribution. You can contribute up to $6,500. However, if you have high income, the tax benefit will begin to phase out. What is your tax benefit? You don't pay tax on your what, contributions. However, if you have high income, some of your contributions may be taxed, or even all of them will be taxed in terms of your contribution to traditional RA. Okay, as to what the income limits are, it's in the next slide. You can read that on your own. I'm not going to go through that. Okay, all right. And how about how about Roth RA? Yes, if you're covered by an employer and you are in that very high income bracket, you are not allowed to contribute to what? Roth RA. You may be able to contribute some depending on your income, but you come to a point that you are not allowed to contribute $1 to your Roth IRA. Okay? Versus traditional, yes, you can continue to contribute even though you're at that high income level, but what? You may start losing what? Your what? Tax what? Benefits. You may have to contribute what? With after tax dollars, depending on how high your income is. Okay? Can you see the difference between the two here? Okay, how about your 401k? No income limit. Okay, right. How about age? Is there, does age affect how much you can contribute? Traditional RA? None. You can be young, you can be old, you can be like James, you can contribute. And make sure it is what? It is a what? An earn what? Income. Okay, all right. If your kid is mowing lawn for other people, make sure you document it. Who they're mowing for, how much are they paid, what date, and so on. Okay? All right. Okay. Uh, how about if your kids were to wash dishes, you give them allowance? I don't know whether the IRS would buy that. That's part of your household chore, right? You live in the house, you help out. Okay, all right. And how about contribution to? Is there age limit to contributing to Roth IRA? No. 401k? No. Okay. All right. Employer match? That will be what? Your 401k. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You mean what savings? You're talking about? Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 All right. Yeah. I mean, you want to make sure that you have emergency fund, take care of your in case of financial emergency. And if you think you have extra, yeah, I think it is advisable to move as long as you have earned income. Yeah, as long as you have earned income, you can move your savings. Uh, I would, with today's inflation rate, I would move not only to Roth or any other account, but I would move to even a taxable account that pays you a higher interest rate. Brian was just talking about me. Well, there's what is the savings account with Goldman Sachs, Marcus, what 3.7? Yeah, 75. Yeah, it's online, it's electronic, but pages, but it's insured by FDIC. It pays you a much higher rate of return. Yeah. Okay, so look, for your 401k, you need to contribute at least to your employer's what match limit. If you don't, you are what? You're giving away what? Free money. Contribute to the point that what you can what benefit from all your employees matching. That's free money to you. It is free money. Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Okay. I'll be done. Okay. All right. Moving on. Okay. When you start withdrawing, look, the money in this account are for you to what? To retire on. Okay. It is not a tool for you to what do you call pass it on to your yeah, beneficiary. So at a certain point in your time, you have to withdraw well, sorry, I was going to that required minimum distribution. Okay, all right. Well, since I'm talking about that, okay, why don't I talk about that RMD, required minimum distribution? If you don't withdraw a certain amount by a certain date, there is a 25% what penalty on it, plus tax on the amount you should have withdrawn. This year is 25%. Last year it was what? 50%. And for those who should have withdrawn for 2022, yesterday was the deadline. So didn't do that, they'll be talking to you. Okay. All right. And so if you are 73 or later, even if you're still employed, you have to withdraw a minimum amount from your what? Traditional IRA. How do you find out the minimum amount is? Your custodian company will tell you, or you can easily calculate that on your own. The IRS computes a lifetime factor. You just divide that number into the total amount that you have in your tax advantage accounts, and that's the minimum you got to withdraw when you're 73 or what. older. Remember that, because that's a big giveaway. Okay, all right. And Roth IRA, that's one thing I like about Roth IRA. There is no what? RMD. You don't have to withdraw anything. If you want to leave something for to your beneficiaries, do it what? Through what? Roth. Okay, all right. And how about 401k? If you're 73 or later, you need to do RMD unless you're still what? Working. Here's a trick. Here's a trick. Okay, if you reach 73 and you don't want to withdraw from your 401k, how about work part time? Oh, you're still working, so you don't have what forced to withdraw. Okay, all right. And it also look there are two types of 401k. One is a regular 401k where your contributions are taxed, and the other one is the Roth 401k where your contributions are what do you call oh, what did I say? Contributions to your regular 401k, your contributions are not taxed, but the Roth option of your 401k contributions are what? Tax. That's only difference. Okay, all right. And going back to your early withdrawal penalty, look, you cannot withdraw when you are below 59 and a half. I don't know why they put that number half, 59 and a half, but Congress did its job, so we got to follow it. All right. So if you withdraw from traditional before 59 and a half, there is a 10% penalty plus what? Tax on your withdrawal. Okay. If you withdraw before 59 and a half for Roth, there will be a penalty, 10% on your earnings only, and plus tax on the earnings withdrawal. Why not? Why not the principal withdrawal? Yeah, it has been taxed when you contribute to it. Okay. All right. How about your 401k? The same thing as your traditional, 10% penalty plus tax on your early withdrawal. Okay. All right. And then the 5-year-old rule on earning withdrawal. This is a unique rule that has to do with withdrawal of earnings from your Roth only. Okay. All right. Your Roth account must be 5 years old before you can withdraw what? Earnings. If not, they will tax you on the withdrawal of earnings. So here's my suggestion to you. Even if you don't have money now, let's say you only have $1, go ahead, use that $1 and go ahead and set up a Roth account and start the clock right there. Your future contributions to that Roth account will not reset the clock because you have what? Started it with that $1 contribution. Yes. Yeah, you can contribute to it every year. You can have multiple Roth accounts, but the maximum you can contribute to all of your Roth accounts is what? $6,500. You can contribute 3,000 here, 3,000 here, 500 here. Okay. All right. Okay. This rule does not apply to 401k. All right. We have looked at RMD. We're going to look at spousal IRA. Look, if your spouse is not working, you can also set what? An account for them. Roth and what? Traditional. And how much can you contribute on your behalf of your spouse? Up to $6,500. So altogether for the whole household will be how much? $13,000. If you're age 50 and older, you got another $2,000 additional. Okay. All right. You cannot open a spousal account for your 401k. Okay, they'll probably laugh at you if you ask your employer to set one up. Okay. All right. Uh, Here's my suggestion. If you have to set one account up, which one would you set up? Free money. Your employer what? Match. And you can contribute even more if you're at a high income level. That's really good for you. Okay. All right. And then this is just my preference. If you have to do another one, I'll say what? Go and set a Roth IRA. Okay. And then if you want to go further, you can have set up a traditional IRA. All right. These are more details on your traditional. Read that on your own. Okay. More details on your Roth IRA. How much income you have to reach before that would prohibit you from contributing. It's all in there. Okay. Right. Read that on your own, please. 401k, read that on your own. Except, I just want to point out, if you work for tax-exempt employers, they do not call it 401k. They call it what? 403b. I'm in that. I work for university. Okay, and you work for state, local government employees. Oh, yours is federal, right? So it's different. 457b. Many of the features are the same because there are different features too. Okay, within those accounts. Okay, are you in that? Are you in that? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I see. I see. Okay. All right. All right. Can we take a 5 minute break, just stretch and walk around and use the restroom or drink water? 5 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll compare traditional versus Roth. Okay. All right. Okay. What time shall we come back? What time do I for? 4:42. Okay. So maybe 4:37. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay, the difference between those two, traditional and Roth IRA, uh, I personally would prefer Roth because there's no income tax burden when you retire. You don't have to worry about paying tax on what withdrawals. Okay, and it gives you more stability in terms of your planning, your budgeting. You don't have to take care of tax. Okay, and no RMD. That's a big plus for me. I don't have to worry about what having to withdraw a minimum amount each year. Okay, a big plus for me. And if you were to pass on to your beneficiaries, there's no tax. Okay, we pay tax on that. Okay. All right. What happens if you are at the high income level and you're covered by an employer plan, and you cannot contribute to a Roth? We mentioned about that. So what's going to happen? Well, you can continue to contribute to what traditional, even though you may not have tax savings. Okay, your contributions will be taxed. So why would you want to contribute to traditional RA if your contributions are taxed? Is there a benefit in doing that? Let's say you are at a high income level and you're covered by your employer plan, and you choose to contribute to your traditional RA, knowing that you have lost your tax savings because your contributions are taxed now because of your high income. Why would you want to continue to contribute to the traditional RA even though your contributions are taxed? Okay. Okay. Your earnings from your contributions will not be taxed. Are tax deferred until you what? Until you withdraw when you retire. Okay. So even though your contributions are taxed, if you're at a high income level, you can continue to what? Contribute to traditional RA because the earnings from those contributions will not be taxed every year until what? You withdraw. So that's one tax advantage of continuing to what? Contribute to your traditional RA. Okay? Even though you don't have any tax benefits. However, later on, here's a backdoor strategy. You can convert your traditional RA to what? Roth. It's legal. You're not going to go to jail for that, even though it's a backdoor strategy. Yeah. Yes. Yes. We're going to talk about that. Okay. Now here. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. You mean you pass it on? Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You can roll it over to a traditional Roth or traditional account. All right. Yeah. Depending if it is from 401k, you got to pay tax on withdrawals. If you roll it over to Roth, you got to pay tax when you roll it over. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think so. But I have to check on that. I have to check on that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So whenever you convert money from Roth, from traditional to Roth, is going to be taxed. Okay, so here's a strategy: don't convert if it pushes you to a higher what tax rate. Makes no sense. Okay, and or it will increase your Medicare premium. Some parts of your Medicare require you to pay premium. If you're at a higher income, they charge you a hefty surcharge on it. So if you do the conversion and increases your taxable income to the point that it would also increase your Medicare premium, I mean, what's the point, right? So be careful of that. Okay, do the conversion when your tax rate what somehow is lower for that year, or you have lower income for that year, or the market is down. Because when the market is down, when you do the conversion, you're selling what? Some of the assets at maybe at a lower gain, so you don't have to pay what? Tax on it, okay? Or be generous in the year when you do the conversion in terms of charitable what? Contribution. Why? Because yeah, when you do the conversion, your taxable income goes up, but that is offset by your what? Charitable contribution. Okay, so be smart about that. Or delay taking your Social Security benefits. Why? Because some of your Social Security benefits are taxable, and if you do your conversion the same time when you take them, it will push you to a higher what? Tax rate. Okay, so be smart as to when you do your conversion. Okay, right? Okay, okay. Each conversion. This is very restrictive. Okay, each conversion carries its own what? 5-year clock. I'm not talking about the early 5-year clock that's related to earning withdrawal from the Roth. This is different. Okay, every time you make a conversion, a 5-year clock starts. If next year you do another conversion, another what? 5-year clock starts. Different from the first 5-year clock we were talking about. Okay? All right. And next time when you withdraw the converted principal from the Roth account, before you what? Turn 59 what? And a half? Be careful. The account must be the conversion account, the Roth conversion account must be what? 5 years old to be penalty free. Okay? And however, if you withdraw at 59 and a half or older, this rule does not apply. So this rule applies only what? If you withdraw what? Younger than what? If you're younger than 59 and a half. Okay, it's a weird rule, but well, there's a purpose for that. It prevents you from taking advantage of conversion to circumvent the traditional RA early withdrawal restriction. Remember, you're not allowed to withdraw before what 59 and a half as far as your traditional RA, or they'll penalize you and tax you. Okay, so and here's another one here. It doesn't matter when you convert. If you convert on December 31st, the IRS assumes that you have made the conversion on January 1 the same year. So what is the implication here? Do not convert on January 1. Why? Just do it what? At the end of the year, because they will assume that you make the conversion what? January 1. So now what if you do that, you have 1 year credit in terms of meeting what? The 5-year clock. You have only 4 years left. Okay, so be smart when to do the conversion, and I would suggest don't do a monthly conversion. Just do it one time at the end of the year. Okay, all right. Just 3 months ago, December 2022, President Biden, Congress passed a legislation, and President Biden signed a law that has a lot to do with what? Our retirement benefits. It's called Secure 2. So we're going to look at some of the main provisions. Okay? Whether it affects you or not, I do not know. Okay? All right. Next year, employees are allowed emergency access to your employer plans up to $1,000 a year, not subject to early withdrawal penalty. If you withdraw before 59 and a half, it doesn't matter. As long as it's $1,000, no penalty. However, you got to repay it before you withdraw the another $1,000. Okay, or here's an option. The government's very nice. Okay, or in addition to the above $1,000, you can contribute or you can set a emergency savings sub account for low income workers that is part of your retirement plan. And you can contribute up to how much to that account? $2,500. And the contributions have to be on an after-tax basis. And you can withdraw any time from that account, $2,500, no penalty. They have finally realized that an emergency fund is very necessary for each person saving for retirement. Okay? Retirement savers need to have their own emergency fund. That's for a rainy day. And I'm not talking about an umbrella here. Okay? What happens if you have a financial emergency, such as what? A car collision, and you got to buy a new car. You want to buy a Jeep, please buy from RJ over here. Or your roof flies away. You got to, that's an emergency. Or you got fired and still looking for another job, but your expenses are still there. That's what? That's a financial emergency. What's the problem with when you have a financial emergency? For savers, it will stop them from saving. And these people will lose their what? Employer what? Matching. And sometimes the emergency is such that they could start selling some of their what? Assets from their retirement accounts. And they may sell them at the wrong time when the market is down, selling them at a loss. And if you are below 59 and a half, not only do you have to pay tax on that, you got to pay what? Penalty. You should have what? It's a prerequisite. You should have an emergency what? Savings. Okay? Some professionals suggest 3 to 6 months of your monthly pay. That's way too high. Have a starter emergency plan, $2,000 or $3,000. Will help you, tide you over. Okay, all right. So that it does not derail your what? Emergency savings. Okay. Right. Another provision next year for those who still owe what? Student loans. Okay, employer can match what? Employee student loan payments with contribution to his or her what? Retirement what? Account. That's a nice bonus to students, employees who are still paying off what? Their what? Student loans. Okay, all right. For part-timers, those who are working part-timers, between 500 to 999 hours annually for three consecutive years, you are allowed to participate in your employer's retirement plan if they offer one. And in 2025, the period is shortened to what? Just 2 years. Okay? All right. at age 60, 61, 62, 63, it's a special catch-up. I'm not talking about a regular catch-up here. I'm talking about a special catch-up in terms of contributing to your employer retirement plan, okay? Starting 2025, you can contribute to the greater of $10,000 or 150% of what you are catching up right now, okay? By the way, if you contribute to 401k, you can contribute to the max of, I'm talking about catch up here, $7,500, we saw earlier. And let's say right now you're contributing $7,000. I'm talking about catch up. So how much can you contribute? You turn 60 and 60 to 63. The 50% of $7,000 and 150% of $7,000 gives you what, $10,500, or what, $10,000, whichever is greater. Okay, that's what it means. Okay, and unfortunately, once you turn 64, this special benefit is gone. You're back to the regular what? Catch-up contribution for 401k limit of what? $7,500. Okay, all right. They only apply to workplace retirement plans, not to individual Roth and so on. Okay, for your regular catch-up contributions by employee earning more than $145,000, your contributions must be what? After tax. For the others, they can continue to catch up with pre-tax contributions. Okay, all right. In 2025, automatically, all employees will be enrolled in their employer retirement plans if the employers offer those plans. Unless they make a conscious decision to what? Opt out. Right now, it's the reverse. Right now, you're not contributing to your 401k unless you what? Opt in. They've made a study and found out that if they do it on an automatic basis, more employees who stay on would contribute. Yeah. Whatever the limit is for that plan. And I'm not sure about that because the mechanics of it, but that's what I read on the on the legislation. A lot of these are not happening right now, so the IRS still got to come up with the mechanics of it. How they're going to do that? Okay, all right, but just want you to be aware of that. Okay, all right. It does not apply to new companies, employers with 10 or fewer workers, or government or church employers. Okay, doesn't apply to that. Okay. In 2027, this is good for lower income workers. Okay, the federal government, I'm not talking about the employer, the federal government will match. Okay, their retirement contributions. Okay, including their contributions to individual RA, with a max of only what, $1,000 a year, and the match will be deposited in their retirement accounts. Okay, so that's to help the lower income employees here. Okay, all right. What time do I have right now? 5 o'clock. Okay. Well, let me see. Okay, I tell you what. Why don't we go down and have a meal, and then we'll come back at is it 5:30? 5:30. Yeah. Okay. Now we'll continue on. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Oh yeah. Uh, do I have a prayer? Okay.
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the food that has been prepared for us. Bless on the hands that have prepared it, the souls about to partake of it. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay. Okay, I think we just go ahead while we wait for the others to come. These are some retirement plans for small employers and self-employed. For example, you have a simple IRA, and it's more or less has the same features with the other plans that we have discussed. So we're just going to skip. And you want to know more about this, go ahead and read on your own. And another small or self-employed plan is solo 401k. Another one is SEP IRA. So if you are you're self-employed or small employer, you can read this on your own. Okay. All right. I'm going to skip on here. Okay. I want to touch on the HSA, the health savings account. It's available if you have a high deductible insurance. And I would suggest you take this route if the employer were to offer you different health insurance options. Get the high deductible. For one, you pay a much lower premium. For another, you are allowed to have a HSA, health savings account, and this is very, very valuable. Not a lot of people are aware of this. Okay, so we're going to discuss this a little bit here. So, what's the purpose of HSA? Is to pay for medical expenses not covered by your insurance. And if you have a high deductible insurance, it means what your deductible is going to be what very high. You can use savings from this account to take care of that, and co-payment, co-insurance, even premiums for some parts of Medicare. You can use HSA to pay for that, and it has three tax advantages. Your contributions are pre-tax, no tax on your contributions. Your earnings grow free, and on top of that, when you withdraw from this account, no tax. When you look at Roth IRA, when you look at traditional IRA, when you look at 401k, they all have two of the three advantages. But this one has all what? Three advantages. So it is completely tax free. And then a lot of people overlook this. Okay? And there's a contribution limit for individual, $3,850 for family, $7,750, and if you're 55, an additional $1,000. And this is not use up or you lose it for the year. You can carry it on what? To future years and on to retirement. Okay? And if you retire early, before you turn 65, well, you have to have some savings to take care of your medical expenses before you can enroll in Medicare. You can only enroll in Medicare at 65. You can use this as a bridge. But the moment you enroll in Medicare, you cannot contribute to this HSA. Okay? And there are two parts in this account. Okay? There is a cash component which you use to pay your insurance expenses as they incur. Okay? And then you have another part which a lot of people are not aware of, an investment component, which you can invest in stocks and bonds and let it really grow and use in retirement. And you can switch funds in between these two parts here. Okay, right? And here's another thing that a lot of people are not aware of. This can be used as just like a Roth account. Okay, this is how you do it. Turn it into a Roth account. Okay, whatever medical costs, that you incur now that are not paid by insurance, you can pay them out of pocket, from your own pocket. Okay? Do not reimburse from your HSA, but keep the receipts, keep your medical receipts, and when your receipts will never go bad. Okay, when you retire, you can take out your receipts and get reimbursement from your HSA, and you can do anything with it. You can travel with it. You can go to restaurants with it. Do anything with it. Okay, so you're turning this into what, a Roth IRA. Okay, all right. So pay out of your pocket and let your HSA investment grow, okay, tax free. So that's one way to take advantage of it. Another one is if you're 65 or older, money can be withdrawn and used for anything, not only qualified medical expenses, as long as you pay tax on it. So you're turning this into a 401k or what? Traditional IRA. Okay, you don't pay tax on the contributions, and when you withdraw, you pay tax on it. So this is exactly what you're doing with your HSA. Okay. However, do not do that before 65 years old. Otherwise, there's a 20% penalty and tax on it. So this is really a good deal. The HSA, if you have access to it, please take advantage of it. Okay, if if the employer gives you different options, choose the high deductible option so that you can get access to what, your HSA. Okay, it is completely tax free. It is truly tax free. Yeah, go ahead. Oh no, it has been around. A lot of people are not aware of this. Yes. Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Mm, mm, mm-hmm. 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 Now that would not be HSA. This is not. That's a different account. That's a different account. Yeah, no. This one you don't use it. You can roll it over forever until you retire. Yeah, yeah. That one you use it or you lose it. Yeah. So it's different. Yeah, yeah. I think it's called medical savings account or something like that. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So this is completely tax free. Okay, Roth is not completely tax free. Uh, well, once you join the enroll into Medicare, you cannot. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You cannot contribute to HSA. Okay, all right, all right. So look, if you have reached all your contribution limits to the different tax advantage accounts, last resort is open up a taxable account. Okay. Uh, your earnings will not be what would be taxed every year. Okay, all right. But uh, uh, this is your last resort. Okay, all right. And sometimes when you have to withdraw, when you do require minimum distributions from each of those tax advantage account, you may have to open up a taxable account to put the money in. Okay, all right. All right. Anybody with kids? Safe for kids here? None? Oh, okay. All right. Okay. This is one of the best way to save for college. Uh, uh, 529 plan. Okay. And higher ed educations expenses are very, very expensive. Okay, it is the college is opposite of kidnapping. You know, in college, let's say if you don't pay $100,000, I mean, in kidnapping, you don't pay $100,000, we will not release your kid back to you. But in college, you don't pay $100,000, we will release your kid back to you. Okay, but this is the best way to save. Okay, each state has its 529 plan, and some are better than the others. So you just got to look around. One of the best ones is actually Ohio. Okay, yeah, Fred, you have something? Yes, you can. Sure, sure. Yeah, sure, you can. Okay, all right. Let me give you an example here. 529 Ohio. Your contributions are tax deductible from state tax up to $4,000 yearly. Okay, but not tax deductible from the federal tax. Okay, this is like the rough type of system, and the earnings go tax free, and when you withdraw, completely free from tax, the state level and what your federal level. Okay, and no annual income restriction. And if the kid that you're trying to save for college does not want to go to college, you can transfer it what to another family member, transfer it to your grandkid or great grandkid or whatever. Okay, and and the max. I mean, look at the max you can contribute: 500 and what, $1,000. If your child wants to go for medical education, no problem. You can save enough for that. Okay, they don't have to take what you call educational loans. And however, if you withdraw for other expenses other than for education, uh, the principal will not be taxed because you have already paid tax on your contributions, but your earnings will be taxed and penalized. Okay, all right, and I think that's fair. Okay, the tax legislation that just came out a few months ago, Secure 2, it has a provision for that. If you save too much on your 529 plan, don't worry. You can roll that any leftover to your beneficiary's Roth. You set a Roth account. Okay, but subject to what? To the annual limit for that Roth account. And by the way, what is the annual limit contribution for Roth account? 6,000 what? $500. You can do it every year, and until you reach a max of $35,000. I mean, how generous can it be? Okay, you should take advantage of it. Okay, if you're saving for your kids, grandkids, okay, and so on. And uh, here's a restriction. Okay, before you can do a rollover to a Roth account from your 529, the account has to be what? 15 years longer. I mean, you cannot just set up an account and start rolling over. Okay, it has to be at least what, 15 years old. Okay, all right. So if you're saving for your kids or grandkids, I mean, this is there's no plan that is so generous. Okay, all right. And look at the different state plans. You don't have to go with Ohio or no with Indiana. You can look at the other plans and use those plans. Okay, all right. All right, we have looked at investment accounts, different types of accounts we can open up, okay, Roth and so on, for tax benefits. And remember, we don't invest in accounts, we invest in assets through those accounts. Next, we're going to talk about those assets. And for individual Roth and IRA, it is a two-step process. A lot of people contribute their money to individual Roth or traditional account and stop right there. The money will be kept in your sweep account, but it's not earning you anything. You got to take the next step, invest the money what in an asset permitted in that account. So the money will transfer from the sweep account to what that asset. Otherwise, the money will remain in the sweep account and it's just earning you nothing. Okay, with low interest rate. So for individual accounts, it is a two-step process. Remember that. For 401k, the employer would do it for you. Okay, but not for individual. You've got to take that extra step. Okay, all right. Okay, there are groups of investment assets you can invest in through your what tax advantage accounts. Okay, so we're going to look at those groups, and one of them is what they call stock group or equity group. And you know what that is? If you buy a stock of a company, you own a piece of the company. If a company has 100 shares outstanding and you buy 10 shares, you own what? 10% what? Of the company. Okay? And what are the benefits of buying stocks, investing in stocks? Well, you are entitled to different types of we call returns. Okay, the main type is what we call capital gain. What is capital gain? You sell the stock at a higher price than you what? Buy it. Okay, all right. That's the main return for you if you're doing stock investing. And here, there's another return type. It's called income return. Excuse me. What is that? Companies will share what they call annual profits with stockholders in the form of dividends. It's annual dividend checks. Okay, and they're usually done quarterly, and they are usually fixed in nature until they increase it infrequently. Okay, so that's a fixed. Okay, so stock investment can be quite risky on a short-term basis. Why? Because the price is what? Very volatile. Okay. However, if you invest on a long-term basis, they give you the highest return of the asset groups. Okay. All right. And then you have bond. What is bond? Well, if you buy bond of a company, you actually what? Lending to the company. Okay. And those bonds mature. And when those bonds mature, the company will pay you what? The maturity value, which they will, or another name for that is par value or face value. They'll tell you ahead of time what that maturity value is when you invest in it. Okay? However, sometimes you choose not to wait till the bonds mature. You may want to sell them before the bonds mature, and you may get a what? Capital what? Gain or loss. Okay, and that's one return type. The other return type, which is the main return type for bond investment, is they pay you interest income twice a year, and it's usually what? Fixed in nature. Okay, so bond investments are less risky than stocks, and of course the return will be lower compared to stock investments. Okay. Right? And then you have another major group called short-term investments, or sometimes we call them cash what? Investments. There's a reason why we call them short-term investments, because they mature what? A year or shorter than a year. For example, CDs, there's a 12 months or 6 months or 3 months. That's your short-term investment. Or savings account is considered what? Short-term investment. Or treasury bills. You can buy treasury bills. What are treasury bills? Those represent short-term lending to the federal government, to the Treasury Department. They're very safe. Okay, all right. The main return type you get from this is what? Interest income. Usually no capital gains or anything of that nature. So they are very, the risk is very low. What's the trade-off? your return is what? Low also. Okay, all right. And then we have another group called the alternative assets, real estate, bitcoins, foreign currencies, commodities, painting, baseball cards, and so on and so on. In many cases, the only return is what? Capital gains, no interest income. And that's why this is the most volatile what? Group when you depend on what the prices here. Okay? Right. And some retirement accounts, we're going back to retirement accounts now, okay? Tax advantage retirement accounts do not allow or include what? Alternative assets to be included. So because of that, we just focus on the first three groups here: stock, bond, and short-term investments. However, if you're interested in alternative assets, you can set up what we call a self-directed IRA with some companies, not all companies. Okay, here it is. What do you think they call the self-directed IRA? They will administer your account, but you are on your own. You're not going to get some advice from them in terms of risk or whatever. Okay, you're on your own. Okay, yeah. Okay, all right. Okay, but you do get what tax benefits, okay, out of that. Okay, all right. Okay, we're going to look at bonds very quickly. Read the details on your own. You can buy bonds from the Treasury. There are three types: short-term, which is less than a year. It's called Treasury bill. From 1 to 10 years. I'm talking about the original maturity of the bonds when they are issued by the government. Okay, Treasury note, and more than 10 years, it's called what? Treasury bonds. Okay, and over time, of course, their maturity length of maturity what decreases. Okay, no, absolutely no default risk. They'll pay you. They pay your interest that's due you. They'll pay the maturity value when the bonds mature. Why? If they run out of money, they can always what? Raise what? Tax rates, or they can even print what? More money. The U.S. government has been around for what? 250 years and so on. They have never defaulted, unless they do not raise the debt ceiling coming up. Then, unfortunately, that would be terrible in terms of people having faith in the U.S. government. Okay. Yes. Go ahead here. Yes. Uh-huh. I never heard of that. Get in line to do what? This is the first time I heard anything like that. Really? Oh wow. Talk to me later on. Maybe we can get more info on that. Oh, I never heard of that. Okay. All right. And then you have municipal bonds, which represents lending to local governments, local schools, and so on. Okay. Corporate bonds, lending to corporations, and then you have lending to foreign corporations and governments, which we call foreign bonds. And this is a little bit risky because uh, because they add what they call a foreign exchange risk into it. Okay. All right. So you have four groups there. How is their performance over 96 years? Okay. On the annual return for the equity group or the stock group, there are two sub groups here. The small stocks, on average, annual average return is 11.8%, long term average. Okay, average per year. Okay, and then for large stocks, 10%. In government bonds or treasury bonds, representing what? The bond group, it's 5.2%. Treasury bills representing the short-term what? Assets, it is what? 3.2%. Inflation is 2.9%. Okay? So if you were to invest $1 in 1926 in small stocks, how much would you have today at the end of 2022? Not bad for 9,000 what? 52 cents. If you were to invest in large stocks, you get 11,535. Not bad. If you were to invest in bonds, represented by treasury bonds, you have $131 today. If you were to invest in treasury bills, representing the short-term asset group, $22. Okay, what is that inflation? Okay, if you can buy a bottle of drink for $1 in 1926, how much would this cost you today? Why? Inflation, loss of purchasing power. Okay, it has investment implications here. Okay, it does have investment implications, but we'll go to that later on. Okay, all right. I want you to look at the volatility of each asset group. Which one is the most volatile compared to treasury bills? Night and day, very volatile. If you look at it on a short-term basis, you see all these things. But overall, the trend is always going what? Upward. So we need to have a long-term outlook when you invest in stocks. Otherwise, you'll be scared to death. You'll pull them out at no time. Yeah, we're going to be discussing that. Yeah. Well, yeah, 10 years or more. Okay, and okay. Look, some people are so conservative that they save for retirement by saving in a savings account in the bank. It may give you less than $22. In fact, you'll be earning what we call zero real return. Your dollar amount may be a little bit big, but actually you have lost what? Much of the purchasing power. Okay? So what I'm saying is that when you invest on the long term, you need to take a little bit what? More risk. Okay? For example, if you invest in stocks, that will help you to offset inflation. And only that, it will give you a good cushion of good returns. Okay? So I just want to give you an overall picture here. Okay? All right. Okay, some principles of successful retirement saving. Number one, need to start early so that you can spend time in the market. Time in the market is so much more important than doing market timing investing. I mean, successful investing is very boring because you're looking long term. It's not exciting as a day traders. You go in and out the same day. And I've done day trading, and I mean your transaction fees will eat up much of any return you have. Okay, so you need to be disciplined. You need to invest on the long term. If the market goes down, don't pull money out from your investments. That's the wrong time to do it. Okay, don't stop investing. In fact, that's the best time to invest when the market is down. Okay, all right. Okay. And if you invest on a long term, you witness a miracle called the compounding miracle. Okay? All right. For example, let's say you are going to invest $4,000 a year and you're going to earn 10% every year. This is what it's going to look like. The first few years, much of what you have in your account is what? Deposit. But from 10 years onwards, you're going to see a rapid growth of your what? Blue component, which we call interest. And after 20 years, is going to explode. I mean, the growth is going to explode. Okay, and what do we call that? Exponential, compared to the growth of your deposit, which is straight linear. Okay, this is what we call the magic of compounding, which will happen when you invest for the long term. Okay, all right. So, and also time in market greatly reduces your investment loss, especially in stocks. If you invest from 0 to 1 year, there's a 30 to 45% probability of having a loss in your stock investments. Okay, if you invest for 13 years or longer, well, that's a question there, Scott. 13 years or longer, your losses probability is probably close to 0. Okay, and this is a study done by Macrobond. Okay, all right. Another principle is what? Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in what? One basket, because when you trip, there goes your breakfast. Okay? All right. There are two sides to an investment coin. You got the return and you got the risk. And both of them are correlated. You want higher return? You should be able to tolerate what risk. You want low risk, then you should be satisfied with what? Lower return. Okay? You need to remember this principle here. Okay? All right. So how much risk how much risk to take depends on your proximity to your retirement, since we're talking about retirement planning here. Okay, the further away you are from your retirement, the more risk you can take. Why? Because what? Gives you higher return. Okay, and it gives you time to recoup your losses. Okay, and so you're able to sleep. A short-term investor once said, although the market is bad, I can sleep like a baby. And the colleague responded, "Oh, really? Yeah, I woke up every hour and cried." Okay, do not be driven by events. Okay, think long term, and it will help to reduce your risk. Okay? All right. As you near retirement, then you begin to reduce what your risk. I'm not saying eliminate your risk. Okay, because you still have another 20 or 30 years to live after your retirement. Inflation is still looking. Okay, all right. And when should you start to reduce your risk? Let history be your guide. A history of the stock market be your guide. Okay, so that's what we're going to look at next. Okay, the peak of the market, meaning what? The top of the market in that cycle. Trough means what? The bottom as it begins to go back up. Okay, and in 1929, the Great Depression. You heard of that? Okay, the market lost what, 86.2%, and it would take 13.3 years to break even. What is break even? To recoup what? Recoup the loss. Okay, the Great Depression lasted about almost 10 years. Horrible, worldwide. Okay, market failure, bank failures, any failures that you can name is there. Okay. All right. And if you look at the 73 depression, drawdown was what, 48.2%. It took us how many years to come back to recover the loss or break even? 3.8 years. .com recession took us 4 years. The subprime recession, 3.1 years. So why am I sharing this with you? Just hold on a minute, okay? After the Second World War, 1946 onwards, The break-even time has never exceeded what? 5 years. The longest is what's the longest one? .com, 4 years. So here's the implication. Here's the implication. Okay. Start reducing your investment risk 5 years before you what? You retire. Okay. Because if there's a down market that occurs 5 years or even earlier before you retire, you got time to recover. Because from history, we know that none of the break even is greater than what? 5 years. Make sense? Okay. And if the down market occurs within 5 years before you retire, maybe a year before you retire, then your risk level at that time may be already lower if you have started what your diversification process 4 years ago, which is 5 years before you retire. Okay, so just using the market as a guide over here. Okay. How much should we how to diversify it? There are two ways to do it. Diversified across different asset classes. We look at the three different asset classes. What is it? Stocks, bonds, and what? Short-term securities. Look at this example here. When you start young, your portfolio can be pretty aggressive. 60% in stock, US stock, 25% in foreign stock, and 15% in bonds. And as you get closer toward your retirement, then you become more conservative. You change the weight of the different assets in your portfolio. And can you see? Look at the conservative version of it. 50% in bond, 30% in short-term investments, and 6% in foreign stock, and 14% in what? US stock. Okay, all right. Or you can wait 5 years before your retirement and start doing it, whatever you feel comfortable doing. Okay, right? And then you can diversify it even further. You diversify within each asset group. For example, look at the aggressive growth portfolio. 60% invested in US stock. Look, there are many different industries that you can invest in as far as stock investments. Okay, let me give you a list of that. You can invest in what we call financial industry. You can invest in energy or raw materials or industrial companies or consumer goods or healthcare or information tech or real estate or utilities. So within that stock section of your portfolio, you can invest in different companies in different industries. You can diversify further, and same too with bonds. Okay, you can diversify it, short term and long term, and the different issuers of bonds. Okay. Yes. The treasury bonds, yeah. That's right. That's why you need to diversify it. Yeah, that's why you need to diversify it. Yeah. From huh? Yeah. Uh, what's your question again? If your bond investment fails, then uh-huh. Okay. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. When you invest in a company bond, the company may have difficulty paying your interest or paying your maturity value when the bond matures, and that's your risk. However, company bonds are rated by independent agencies. You can like AAA is very good default, and And if it goes below 8, then you got to be careful on those bonds. They may pay you higher rates, but they'll likely have difficulty paying you interest or your maturity value when the bonds mature. Okay. All right. Okay, this is a very simple way to achieve diversification. Okay, invest through a mutual fund or an exchange traded fund called the ETF. Okay, let's look at the mutual fund first. Okay, uh, what it does is it pulls together money from different investors and then invest in a portfolio of different assets depending on what its investment objective is. So when you own shares of a mutual fund, you're actually owning part of a what? Diversified portfolio of assets. You enjoy instant what? Diversification. Okay, right? And uh, uh, so, for example, its investment objective may be to invest in what? Stocks. So they would invest in different stocks. You enjoy the diversification benefits right there. Okay, and if its investment objective is bonds, then you what? Enjoy a diversified portfolio of bonds. So if one fails, you still have the others. Okay, all right. And money market mutual fund, that's a name of what? Investing in mutual funds that invest in short-term securities, a diversified portfolio of that. Okay, and an index mutual fund. You heard of index mutual fund? It invests. The mutual fund invests in a basket of portfolios that represent the market or a sector of the market. For example, the S&P 500 index, they will invest in 500 biggest companies in the U.S. So that represents what? That particular market sector. Okay? All right. And this one, this is very relevant to invest to retirement. Okay, it's a target date mutual fund. It's a mutual fund that an investor invests and not have to worry about when to become conservative, because the mutual fund itself will what? Adjust its asset groups that it becomes conservative over time. For example, let's say you're going to retire in 2052. There will be a 2052 target date mutual fund. When you invest in it when you're younger, they'll be very aggressive with the investments. However, as it approaches what? 2052, it becomes more conservative. You don't have to do anything with it. And when you retire, their asset mix will probably stay the same. Okay? Have you heard of target date mutual fund? Very simple if you're investing. You worry about when should I adjust the risk level and so on. It does it automatically for you. Okay? All right. Then the other one, the ETF. Okay, very similar to mutual fund, except the way it's been created, it is kind of reverse of mutual fund. That's it. Okay, and they very often have lower operating fees than mutual funds. This is something you can control. Invest in a fund or ETF that has what? The lowest fee, because the fees will eat into your returns. Okay, all right. So these are examples of ETF. They always have the name ETF behind it, and you know it is what? It is an ETF. Okay, how is ETF different from mutual fund? An ETF trades like a stock. Whenever the market is open, the stock market is open, you can trade ETF anytime. When you submit an order to buy ETF, it will be executed right there within a few seconds, but not mutual fund. You may submit an order to buy mutual fund shares during in the afternoon, it will not be executed until the market is over, because they have to calculate what and the new price for the mutual fund. Okay, that's and because ETF is traded like a stock, the broker will charge you brokerage fees every time you buy and sell ETFs. However, a lot of mutual funds do not charge you what brokerage fees. They have a different name for brokerage fees in mutual funds. They call it load fees. There are a lot of mutual funds out there do not charge you what load fees. Okay, and most employer-sponsored plans do not include ETFs due to what the presence of brokerage commission fees. Okay, very simple. Okay, you want to create a very diversified portfolio using mutual funds and ETFs or ETFs. It's up to you. Okay, this is a very simple example. If you only have to invest in what three mutual funds. One representing what stock mutual fund. The other one representing what bond mutual fund and short-term securities, because each fund itself will invest in a diversified portfolio of different stocks or different bonds. That's it. That's simple. Okay? Versus investing on your own. Then you have to pay commission each time you invest in each individual security. You have to analyze it. And that's beyond the scope of the seminar, teaching you how to analyze a stock or a bond or company. Why don't you just do it easy? Go through mutual fund or ETF. Okay? All right. And where do you find mutual funds and ETFs to invest in? The easiest way is to go to these big mutual fund families or ETF families. For example, Vanguard, Fidelity, BlackRock, and iShares. iShares is owned by BlackRock. Okay, you find a list of what mutual funds, a list of ETFs based on the asset category that you want to look at, and you can look at their return for 1 year, for 3 years, for 5 years, 12 years. They are not rated, but you can look at the return. If you want to look at a list of funds that are rated, then you can subscribe to what you call a Morningstar Investor. There's a trial period of 7 days. You don't have to pay anything, and then they rank mutual funds. They rank the ETFs. The top rank is gold, and then silver, and then bronze, and then neutral, and then negative. It's okay to invest in gold or silver or bronze, but don't go below that. Okay, right? And so you can subscribe to that, about $35 a month or $200 over dollars a year. But I'll go for free for 7 days and see what you want, pick them up, and then bye bye. I'm not going to continue on with the subscription. Or easiest way is to what? Go to each of these fund families. Okay. All right, we're done with assets. Any questions so far before we look at the government programs? Okay, you want to continue on? Okay, all right, okay. Social Security, to be able to entitle, you have to work at least 10 years. And 10 years don't have to be consecutive, okay? And the average Social Security benefit is $1,825, okay? Representing 40% of retirement income need. The rest of it you got to come from savings, and the amount of benefit you receive is based on how much you earned. 35 years of your earnings, average. Okay, if you work for 40 years, then they'll choose the earnings from your years where you have 35 years of your highest earnings. If you work for 30 years, then they'll take the average where the 5 years you have zero earning. Okay, so if you can Work for at least for 35 years. Okay, increase your benefit. Okay, all right. Okay, and how do you get your social security estimate? You can do any of these things, then give you benefit either in today's value or in a future value when you retire. It's up to you. Okay. For example, here, the quick calculator, your current value social security benefit per month is 2,438. Okay. So you can do that very easily. All right. FRA does not refer to France. There's something going on in France right now. A lot of strikes because they're trying to raise their full retirement age from 62 to 64. Okay. Now it stands for full retirement age. Okay, it's 67 years for most of you. Okay, if you retire early, there will be a permanent reduction of about 0.56% each month of early retirement, up to 36 months. Will be greater reduction if you want to retire even earlier, 0.42% each additional month early. Okay, the earliest you can retire is what? 62, and you would have lost 30% of your benefits of your full retirement age benefits if you retire early. Okay, and if you retire early before your full retirement age and still working, be careful how much you earned, because for every $2 earned above a certain income limit, they'll take $1 off your Social Security benefits. I retired a year before my full retirement age, and the Social Security wanted me to pay them back 1 year of the retirement benefits I got from them. They say that I got 1 year of earning from the university, earn income from the university, and I got to argue. I got to argue with them and said, no, that's temporary pension, not earned income. And they withdrew the threat of coming and get all my money back for a year. Okay, right. And if you reach your full retirement age and you're still working, there'll be no benefits withheld anymore. Okay, and not only that, any benefits withheld in the past will be added back to your monthly benefits going forward once you reach your full retirement age. Okay. Right. If you delay taking your benefits, you get a 0.7% increase for each month delayed until you reach age 70. After that, if you want to delay further, there's no benefit for that. Okay, all right. So you can get much higher if you delay your retirement, and benefits are adjusted for inflation. As I told you earlier, this year there has been an increase of 8.7% of retirement of Social Security benefits. Okay, much higher than you get from your employer increase, right? Okay. All right. And your Social Security benefits may be taxed depending on your income level. You may be taxed at 0%, 50%, or at 5%. Okay, depending on your income level. Okay, all right. Right now, I'm getting 100% of the benefits, but in the year 2035, and now they have even they have lowered the year to 2034. They would have enough money to pay only 80% of my benefits and of yours too when you retire at that time, because they'll pay you from what they take in from other workers who are working. the reserve in the trust account will disappear in about 12 years or so. Okay? All right. So, what are some of the ways to increase Social Security? Raise minimum age, raise your full retirement age, subject all earnings to Social Security tax. By the way, they would only tax you until $160,000 now in terms of Social Security tax. So they can what? They can increase that upper limit. Okay, or no more additional benefits if you delay your retirement. Tax all Social Security benefits, not only 85% that you receive. Okay, or eliminate what cost of what living. If they do that, I'll go on strike, like the French are doing. Okay, all right, or raise what Social Security tax rate, which is 6.25% or whatever right now. Okay. All right, Medicare. Hey, Medicare. If you're yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Mm-hmm. 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 Oh, they know. They know. No, 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 no. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's the same like you can get fired from one company and working for another company. It does not mean that you're retired when you're fired. Yeah. When you apply for it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When you apply for it. Oh, okay. Uh, Tangela was. You need me to repeat the question? Oh, there's no response. Okay. Okay. We're gonna move on. Okay. Okay. Look, as long as you're a citizen, as long as you're 65, you don't even have to work 1 hour of your life. You are still entitled to a Medicare when you are at 65. Okay. All right. Uh, at 65, you need to enroll. If not, they will penalize you when you enroll later on. Okay. All right. Unless you're still working, what with some kind of life insurance from an employer. That is the only exception. Okay. All right. And there are two options. Two options. Number one, you can opt for the original Medicare. There are several parts here. Part A, there's no premium. If you have been working before at least 10 years and paying Medicare tax, there's no premium. But if you have not, you may have to pay a little bit of premium. Okay? All right. And Part B, that concerns doctor's visit, there will be a monthly premium. And God forgives you if you have high income because there is a very big surcharge. Okay? It can go to a few $100s a month, the surcharge. Okay. All right. And Part D, that's a drug coverage. You have to buy it from private insurance. There'll be a premium. A premium will be based on income, but it's not as much as Part B. Okay. And of course, A and Bs do not cover your deductible, your co-insurance, and so on. If you want that to be covered, you can buy a separate Medigap insurance from a private company to cover that. Okay. All right. And this is what I do. My wife and I, we go for Part C, which is a Medicare Advantage. It's an alternative to what the original Medicare. Okay, it covers A, B, D, and it covers hearing. What is this? Dental and vision. Everything. But you have to buy it from what? A private insurance. Okay, all right. Okay, you can read that on your own. Okay, long-term care has nothing to do with medical expenses. If you need help to dress yourself and take bath, you're interested in that, you please read on your own, okay? How to finance that and so on. Okay, withdrawing. Okay, one more. You want to go in a few minutes and finish up this? How much to withdraw, so on, from your retirement savings? Oh, okay, okay. Oh, it is on the QR code. You can get access to it. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Look, there are several ways to withdraw your money so that it will last throughout your retirement. Okay, and one is what they call the 4% rule approach. Okay, and this was advocated by William in the study in 1994. Uh, if you go with a 4% withdrawal, it can last you for what? 30 years. Okay, so the first year you withdraw 4% of your savings. The next year you withdraw 4% plus what? Add on what? Excuse me. Inflation. Rate of the RMD? Or you mean how much to? Um, yeah, well, it depends where your savings are. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You may have to. You can withdraw your RMD and put it in a taxable accounts and withdraw from that. Okay, all right. Okay, look, watch out for sequence of returns risk during the first few years of retirement with down markets. Because when you have a down market, when you just start retiring, what's going to happen? You're going to sell more assets to fund what a particular retirement need for the first year. And when you sell more assets, you're going to result in a smaller asset base, which will generate what? Lower what? Future earnings. Okay, so let me give you an example here. If you have withdraw $10,000, you have $100,000, and A and B, the only difference between the two is what? When you're going to have the down markets at the beginning of your retirement or what? Toward the end, and you see the result is what? Different. Okay, so if you start retiring and it is some down markets, maybe you need to wait a little bit or what? Work part time a little bit, so that you don't have to sell too many assets. Okay, all right, and reduce your asset base. Okay, all right. Projected cash flow. You start off with $400,000 and you can earn 5.5% annual rate. So your monthly interest income is $1,833, and there'll be tax of 12% yearly on your $400,000. So monthly $220, and you need to withdraw $2,000. So that's your ending balance. And you find out that in month 240, which is how much? 20 years from your retirement, you're running out of money. So what do? Well, what do? Save a little bit more, spend a little bit less, and so on. I'm sorry. Get a job. Get a job. Okay. All right. And I like this approach. It's called bucket approach of withdrawals. Okay. What you do is, let's say you're going to use mutual funds. You can use ETFs also, or mixture. Okay. So what you do is you divide your savings into three buckets or three semi-what portfolios. Okay, bucket one, invest in short-term assets. How much to invest? 12% of savings, or enough to take care of your 2 or 3 years of what living what expenses. Okay, and bucket two, invest in what? Bonds that generates what? Interest income. In bucket 3, invest in stock mutual funds, help you to offset what? Inflation. Remember, when you retire, you may have another 20 or what? 30 years, and inflation can be a big factor if you don't offset it. Okay, so here's a strategy. Every year, funnel 1 year worth of living expenses from bucket 3 to bucket 2 and to what? Bucket 1 to replenish your bucket, which will fund your living expenses. Okay, and in down markets, try to avoid tapping sales. I'm not talking about income here. Sales, if possible. Okay, and you can read the rest of that on your own. And one thing I like about this approach is if there's a down market, you do not go on to a panic mode because you know that you already have what, 2 or 3 years of what? Reserves to take care of your living expenses. Okay, all right. Okay, income only approach. If you save enough, you can just live on your what? Interest income. You don't have to sell. You don't have to liquidate any of your assets. Of course, you need to keep some of your savings in stocks to offset what? Inflation. Okay. Another advantage of this is you can leave all your assets to your what? Beneficiaries if you make the grand exit. Okay, and you don't have to worry about how long you live. Okay, you just live on your savings. Okay, all right, and or annuity approach. You can buy annuity from insurance companies. They will guarantee you what? A certain monthly payments for the rest of the year. The big disadvantage of that is when you die, nothing passes on to your heir. Okay, all right. So there are different types. Immediate annuity or deferred annuity. It's just a matter of when you start receiving your payments. That's it. Okay. All right. You can read this on your own. Okay. Which account you should withdraw from first, and so on. Okay. All right. Pretty self-explanatory there. And look. Okay. We're coming down to the last few slides here. Okay. When you find out you don't save enough, what do? Move to the lower cost part of the U.S. And it does not include Florida, by the way. I mean, to minimize inflation. Inflation is everywhere nowadays, or is it because I'm poor? Even the air we breathe, I found out it's not free. When you buy a bag of chips, more than half of the content in the bag is filled with air. So you even have to buy air. I thought that was free. Impact of inflation. Okay, right. Or you move to countries like Costa Rica. Is Priscilla up there? Okay, there you are. Priscilla is up there. They have good health care there. Cost of living is cheap. And both oceans and in the middle of your mountains. Beautiful place. The Philippines. Well, they can respond to that. Okay. I'm just one thing I'm concerned about: healthcare, quality healthcare. If it's low cost with good quality healthcare, I'm good with that. Okay, that's not my observation. That's from the international living. Okay, change your lifestyle, work part time. Sometimes not possible because of your health. Okay, or delay taking your social security, or take a little bit more risk. Be good to your kids. Or hey, you can do this when you retire. Or I don't recommend winning the lottery because the odds of winning the lottery is lower than you've been struck by lightning several times. Don't waste your money. You might as well contribute to a very charitable foundation. What is it called? Charitable foundation? The Wong Foundation. All right. Can you read this on your own? This is the parable of the talent. Matthew chapter 5. This is the last slide, okay? Verses 14 to 18. Tell me, there are 3 servants involved in there. Tell me, which of these servants is a bad steward? The what? The last one, right? The last one, okay? So look, stewardship is not only about receiving and what? Giving. We often forgotten the middle part of it, which is what? Managing well, management. Okay? If we manage our financial resources well, we'll be of a greater blessing to ourselves, to society, and to the cause of God. And retirement planning is just part of the stewardship duty we have. So may God enable all of us to be good stewards. Okay? All right? And this is it. And by the way, those who came late, I want you can take a picture of this one here. And whenever I do my financial seminar, I always try to give away something. Okay, and I have something to give away. Have you heard of the pit game? It's a trading game. You know what a pit is? If you look at the New York Stock Exchange, they have several trading pits where certain stocks are traded. Okay, you're going to trade commodities here. Randall, you like it? Okay, all right. And Monopoly. And here is dollar, what do you call origami? You can make origami out of dollars. After that, you can spend it. Okay, all right. Right. Can I have the, yeah. So which one should I go first? Huh? Okay, which one? Okay, all right. Okay. Is my name in there? No? Okay. Because is it 3 here? Number 3. Who has number 3? Where's number 3? You? Okay, what do you want? Oh, Pete. You're going to sell it to him later on? Okay, all right. Thank you. All right. Tangela, you're out of running for this one, okay? Okay, number 7. Who's number 7? Oh, Fred. Fred, what do you want? Monopoly or dollar origami? Okay, all right. Yeah. You get a lot of financial information from this game, okay? All right. Number 2. Who's number 2? No number 2? Okay. Number 8? Steve? Okay, all right. You want to get that for Steve? Okay, all right. Okay, all right. I hope you enjoy this seminar. I'll stay around if you have some questions. But before we go, we're going to have a word of prayer. But before that, can you fill out that what is that survey? Can you do that and give it to Susie on your way out? Okay. give you a few minutes to do that. Okay, right? And Pastor, can we invite you up there to have a word of prayer for us? Okay, here we go.
All right. Well, thank you so very much, Dr. Wong, for that lengthy but very educational seminar. Some of you have retired or in way almost to retirement. Some of us are really thinking about it right now. Probably should have been thinking about it 10, 15 years ago, right? But well, we're really appreciative. And so please be sure to stick around and ask him any questions you might have. And I'm going to just put a little plug in real quick, and then I'm going to have a prayer, if you don't mind. This next Friday, not this Friday, the Friday following, we're going to be getting a different kind of seminar. It's a Bible seminar, a Bible prophecy seminar to be specific. And it's going to be right here. And we're going to have banners up and everything. We're going to be advertising. You might be looking for a flyer in your mailbox. We're going to be advertising for the whole community. We're hoping to pack this room with people interested in learning more about their Bible in these last days. And so you guys are some of the first to know about it. So you got the flyer with you, advertising that somewhere on that packet. So, and for those that are watching online, I'm going to really encourage you, please make an effort to come out. Really encourage you to come see us. This is April 14, right here, 1101 Silver Street, New Albany. But let's thank God for this meeting. Lord, all that we have is yours, and we recognize that you've been so generous to us. And as we think about the future, and we don't want to rush into something or be presumptuous, but we just want to trust in you. You say if we trust in you with all of our heart and lean not to our own understanding, but acknowledge you in all of our ways, that you would direct our steps. I pray, Father, as we plan for our financial future, so we can be for our families, for ourselves, so we can continue to be generous and to be able to give. We pray for your continued blessing on us. So continue to direct us and guide us, and continue to help Dr. Wong to be a blessing to us as we are all trying to do better with what you've given. Thank you, Father, in the name of Jesus. Amen.